Yo guys, what is up? It's your boy TRUEDBZZ back with another video, and today I'm going to be talking about the latest patch that has dropped to Dragon Ball FighterZ version 1.3.1. And so yeah, I'm going to be talking about my initial reactions to the notes. Next I'll talk about how I felt as I was playing the game when the patch dropped, and then I'm going to talk about the reception about the patch afterwards and how I think this patch will age and my current thoughts on it right now. So let's get started. So on the initial release, the patch notes came out online, I believe on the Bandai Namco website, I believe. And so when that happened, it was a couple days before the patch dropped. It was about, I want to say, a day or two before the patch officially dropped in game. And so, reading the notes, I can tell right off the bat that I wasn't going to be in favor of it. I didn't really like what they did, at least on paper. In particular, my main characters, Krillin, Blue Vegeta, Super Saiyan Vegeta, and then Roshi. So those are the characters I was really looking into. And Roshi on paper did get a lot of buffs. I was actually kind of impressed on how much they buffed him. But all the other characters, all their changes didn't really seem that interesting to me. It really felt like more so gimmicks and ways to just say, yeah, we don't know what to do with these characters, so we'll just give them something that doesn't really matter. And for the most part, they actually did that with Krillin and Blue Vegeta. Their buffs aren't really that impactful at all. In fact, Krillin is a little bit worse off, but I'm gonna wait and see how the Krillin Masters develop his new EX after image. But Blue Vegeta pretty much is the same character, which I'm completely fine with. He was already a good character, and anyone saying otherwise just doesn't understand how to play him. But yeah, Blue Vegeta was good, and Krillin is good. So what about Super Saiyan Vegeta? Well, on initial release of the official patch notes, I was actually really disappointed. I was actually quite upset because this character has basically been the same character for, I want to say, 3 years at this point. Basically since season 1, Vegeta has basically been the exact same character. He doesn't feel any different to play than he did, 3 years ago. And that's what really upset me, because it's like this character has been on the lower end of the spectrum since basically season 2. And so, not that I want him to be top tier or anything. God, no, I don't want him to be top tier. But I just wanted him to feel like a character that I can rely on and, make me feel good to play, right? And I can tell, or at least I didn't tell from the patch notes that that's kind of what they did, but it was a lot better than I expected. But yeah, the patch notes on initial release, I was very disappointed in. They did buff a lot of characters. Even through the notes, I could just tell that, characters like Cooler, Yamcha, Android 16, like those 3 characters, and Adult Gohan, those 3 to 4 characters really got a lot of buffs. Like, they really focused on making those characters like actually really good. Even though I do think they were already good in the first place, but they just made them like even better, which I'm not opposed to. So on initial reaction to the patch notes, I was quite disappointed, and I basically called this patch very safe and uneventful on Twitter when I first saw it, and I still kind of agree with that right now, but a lot less so now that I've actually experimented with the patch. Alright, so now I'm going to be talking about my reaction to when I actually played the patch. So the patch itself actually released a day before it was announced. On the actual website where the patch notes were, they said the patch was going to drop like 3 to 4 days after the patch notes. But the patch actually dropped a day before that date, and so it basically caught everybody off guard, including myself, because I was actually playing BlazBlue Cross Tag when the patch dropped, and so I basically had to switch streams in order to cover it. And going through all the changes, I can honestly say I definitely underrated this patch a lot. I definitely thought that this patch basically did nothing to change the game. And I still kind of agree with that, but I'll talk about that later on. But in terms of character power, they definitely added a lot more power to the characters. Like I said, the 4 examples that I gave before, those characters in particular are a lot stronger than they were before. The top tiers didn't really change, but I feel like changing them would have been not controversial, but I feel like Arxis is not really stable when it comes to nerfing and balancing characters. Like, sometimes they'll buff characters to the high heavens, and then, you know, people love it, and then 2 weeks later they'll hate the character, and then Arxis is like, damn it, now we gotta nerf this character, and then they nerf him to the ground, and now nobody wants to play him. So it's like, the back and forth between the community and Arxis' balance changes have always been controversial. But I feel like they've definitely went the safe route when it comes to nerfing the top tiers. Some things they went a little bit too far on, particularly with Majin 21. I feel like she was a perfectly fine top tier character, even though I don't like the character, but I feel like, in my honest opinions, that she was completely fine. But they just kind of neutered her. Well, she still has all of her good tools, but her level 3 got neutered, which I'm not a fan of. But, you know, she still has all the other stuff that she has, so, you know, it's definitely a disappointment, but, you know, it is what it is. Super Saiyan Blue Vegito, that guy's still a menace. He's still probably number 1, number 2, or number 3 in the game. They didn't touch him at all. In fact, they actually made him stronger than he was before. Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta got stronger. Blue Gogeta got stronger. Android 17 got stronger. So, like, all the top tiers got buffs, and so they're now still the top tier. So the meta of the game hasn't changed, which has upset a lot of people and made this patch very controversial. But the thing that made me upset more so after the patch, after experimenting with the characters, not only did Super Saiyan Vegeta didn't get the buffs that I wanted, the buffs he got were really good, but I feel like what he really needed was a brand new assist. I feel like his A assist got power crept way hard in the past couple years. Like, his A assist is not viable anymore. His B assist isn't good at all. The distance is not good. The block stun is okay, but the speed and the distance that the assist travels is just way too small and not viable. So, like, Vegeta went from one of the best anchors in the game to just a regular point character, and I feel like they could have changed that with, you know, buffing his B assist. But they didn't do that, so I was kind of salty about that. But the buffs they did give him were really good, and if you were on my stream, you would, know that, the buffs they gave him, I was really excited for. But in the end, Vegeta is still the same character that he was 3 years ago, so it's kind of whatever. But after the patch dropped, after a couple of days, I can honestly say that this patch was good and bad. The good part is they buffed a lot of characters that needed it. On the bad side, though, they didn't really change the system. And what I mean by that is they didn't change how Super Dash worked. They didn't change how Raw Tag worked. They didn't change freaking auto combos. They didn't change Spark Vanish. They didn't change anything about the system mechanics that people do not like. And the difference between character nerfs and system changes is that character nerfs are specifically for those characters, right? And so when you nerf a character, the power creep is always going to be there, right? When Super Saiyan Vegeta got nerfed in Season 1, what happened? He got power crept, and now he's one of the worst characters in the game. But system mechanics, when you change system mechanics in a fighting game, that changed the entire spectrum of how you play the game. When Spark was a lot weaker, people didn't use it for a comeback mechanic because just using it as a comeback mechanic just didn't work because, characters were too touching. The meta was shifting to 2 touches and meter gain and obnoxious neutral. And so when they buffed Spark to where you can, Spark on block, you're a little bit more advantageous. The explosion range was higher. people started using it more so as a comeback mechanic, and even then, you know, people still use it as, you know, a get off me tool. But in response to that, they created limit breaks. So it's like the devs want things to be in a specific way and how you play the game. And when you make system changes like adding limit break, adding assist, you know, adding, you know, spark, you know, better on advantageous, you know, stuff like that changes how you play the game. And sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, but at least there's a little, you can tell that the devs are like, okay, this is how people are playing the game, and we either agree or don't agree with it. And so system changes makes a lot of, like, it changes how you play the game because it's universal to everyone. When they buffed guard cancel and made guard cancel vanish, a lot of characters did get nerfed from that. You know, Teen Gohan, Adult Gohan, Kid Buu, Blue Vegeta, like all the characters that mix you in block strings, they got nerfed. But guess what? Now you just gotta create tech to either be safe from guard cancel vanish or just straight up bait it out now. And so it just changes how you play the game, and I feel like that's what we needed. We needed character buffs, no doubt about it, but I feel like above all else they needed to change the system. And I feel like the top 3 and maybe 4 things they need to change: raw tag, spark vanish, they needed to change super dash, and also the projectile invul and invincibility on tackle moves. I feel like those 4 things really needed to be changed in order for people to have a lot better reception of the game. And I feel like they kind of dropped the ball on that. Like I said, system changes means a lot when it comes to balancing a game, and I feel like they dropped the ball on that. But in terms of character strength, I feel like they did a good job, especially with, you know, those 4 characters I talked about earlier, and some of the other characters. You know, Blue Vegeta still a good character. Blue Goku got some good buffs. Blue Gogeta got some good buffs. Like pretty much everybody got buffed except for like the major top tiers. You know, like Lab Coat 21, Android 21, Gotenks got nerfed, Broly got nerfed and buffed. So it's like all the top tiers got adjusted, but I feel like the core problem that people are not liking about this patch is the system changes that they neglected to talk about and change for the better. So I think that's where I stand. I do think this patch is underwhelming, but for different reasons that many people are disappointed in terms of, you know, character balance versus system mechanics. I'm more disappointed about the system mechanics that hasn't changed rather than the buffs and nerfs that they gave to the characters. So that's how I stand. Let me know in the comments how you guys feel about this patch. If you guys agree with me or do you disagree. Do you think that the system mechanics are fine and that character balance, you know, wins the day? Maybe you guys think that way, but you know, this is all about discussions and giving me your thoughts on the game. So that's gonna be it from me today. If you guys enjoyed, please be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content in the future. And make sure to ring that bell so you're always notified when I upload. With that being said, guys, I really hope you guys enjoyed yourselves, and I will see y'all in the next discussion video. Sayonara.